Well, hello, heavenly tears. This is going to be a little introduction to an interview I did with Andrea Quintana. Now, I've been wanting to get her onto the show, and we tried a couple of times, and this time I decided to go down to where she lives, which isn't too far, Totnes in Devon. And it's a lovely, flourishing alternative community of many, many open-minded people. And we sat in a cafe and we had swings. Can you believe it? We sat on swings in the window of this cafe and we talked about her vision, which is bringing astrology to children, to families, to education. And we looked at my chart because she had used my chart to look at it to demonstrate. The questions I asked were about demonstrating how it's not just a woo-woo tool, it's actually a construct, this screenshot of the heavenly influences. And there are many debates upon what those actually are, constellations, planets. But we do know this for sure. There are energetic situations caused by those bodies, whatever they may be, because we know NASA lies. So we know some of the information we've got is true and some of it isn't. But astrology has been used for a long, long time. And I really think what we proved and discussed was of the use of it, a parent looking at their child, or a child being able to understand their parent, or an educator being able to understand the children they are working with and supporting. And we looked at influences of planetary influences, but also the elements, so earth, air, fire, and water, and how very often we will move to certain places or to be with certain people if we feel the need to balance out our elements. So I hope you enjoy this, and please bear in mind this was recorded in a cafe. I have spent hours putting in the subtitles. So this is a watching video more than a listening. You can listen, but you will hear a lot of chatter. So I went in and spent hours putting in the subtitles so you can read. And that's quite nice because you can really hear what we're talking about by looking again. You can freeze the frame and see it. And there's a lot of very interesting information. Look who I've got. This is the heavenly coffee today, not the heavenly tea. This is Andrea Quintana. Is that how I say your name? Yes, with a proper Q. Note that. And we are going to be talking about astrology and children and various aspects of that. And you have done something very special for me by taking my chart and using it as an example. We're going to use that and discuss it in the way of how I'm going to put this back now. Look at this, guys. We're on swings. So you're going to just get to see this. Maybe some of our eyes. See, there's little bits of eye. We're not going to show you anything else. The swings are cool. Okay. And use this idea of what you've done with the reading to discuss what you believe that children could benefit from in a situation of learning, education, and also the teachers and all of the adults working with them. So it would be amazing to kind of look through it in that way. That would be a revolution, wouldn't it, if we had that result?
Yes, I mean, I've been dreaming about this for a long time because I believe that the society and the family and the society changes. Everything started from children, from we are young, since we are young. So having a children with growing up with principles, with values, with knowing who they are, reading the chart for the parents, the chart for the children, they can know exactly who they are.
Thank you. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. Thanks. Look, I had to just show off my cappuccino. So you can take the camera down where I'm at. Look at the heart, because that's what we're talking about.
So,
you've been dreaming about this in schools and with children.
Yeah. Yes, because I was fortunate to be grown in a beautiful family where I received lots of love, lots of respect, allowing me freedom, especially freedom, but with responsibility. You can do anything, but you're a good girl. And I've been a good girl for 7 years. Doing whatever I want. For me, freedom is freedom without interfering in others people's.
When I was at school, I went to school in London for a year, only a short time because I had to travel a whole hour to get there at age 10 and 11. But we had a lesson in philosophy, which was amazing. And I remember the first thing they asked us, and that was, what is freedom? They got us to define freedom, which was extraordinary. And it was just what you said. The ability to do what you want within a remit of responsibility doesn't have to affect others. Yeah, it was lovely.
So yes, I was grew up in this beautiful environment. So I would like to bring that to the world as well. And because I did it, it's possible. So the way we can do that is if the parents know who the children are from the beginning, the skills, the strengths they have, challenges, it's much easier to raise the children knowing in advance everything about them. It's more easier for the children and for the adults, for both.
Yeah, and what about for the children to know the parents as well? If the parents know themselves, then of course then they're in more authenticity, aren't they? But very often you have this old-fashioned hierarchy of power, don't you? Where the parents somewhere here, and then the children are less. But if the children can understand, there are many empathic children who do understand their parents, but then they would understand, this is why he is so grumpy about this, because it's very important to him. So it's another language, another dimension, and why we are not using it. Why are we not using it? Why are we not using astrology? Why do you think we are not using astrology in our educational system currently?
Could be religion, because I was grew up as a Catholic, and I know when I speak in a church about astrology, it's like a no, because it's known as kind of the devil, kind of, So, and when I say actually to the people, Jesus was found, the three kings found Jesus following the stars. So, hello, and the world was created by God. So, there's nothing evil about knowing how the planets influence your personality and taking advantage of it, because it's in our favor,
This is so important. I was just chatting on Telegram with Patriot Street Fighter's Telegram channel, and when he'll put up a video and then people chat about it, and someone said something was, they said pagan was equivalent to satanic. And I wouldn't let that go by. So I said, hang on a moment. Yeah, satanic, despicable and dreadful, and you want none of that. But pagan is something entirely different. And this person wanted to fight with me a little bit. And even the moderator became my friend. He came in on that, because then I made my point very clear. Pagan, of course, is just understanding nature and all the spirits and elementals and energy behind nature, including the stars. Yes. So we have to bring that in. And the irony of Christianity, dear Jesus trained in the Essenes, which was all about embracing all of the energy of the cosmos on every level. That was his understanding too, and we've just been, of course, pushed into a certain direction. So now is the time of changing all of that.
And we are in the era of Aquarius, which is doing things different, doing things and being unique. That's what Uranus represents, which is the planet represents Aquarius. So its independency is breaking the old, what is old, the new. So is the right time to start bringing this to our education or to our daily life, you know? Because, for example, when I have in one of my relationships, my boyfriend remembers, he said to me, I can believe that you don't judge me. And I said, I know your chart. How can I judge you? I mean, it's just, so it's a way to understand each other in a deeper level, and actually we can help each other, you know, in the...
That's really important, the non-judgmentalism, isn't it? The trust. That's for me the cornerstone of working with adults to train them to be with children in that loving way. I would have friends who would be sort of slightly shallow surface friends, and then they would come to me with deep conversation and then explain, I'm talking to you because I know you're not going to judge me. And that is the basis of trust. And that's why I know the children have to come to me too. So if we can engender that too, we can build it up. And it's basically it's knowledge. And of course you're expanding your heart too with that knowledge, aren't you? Because you have to utilize your feelings to operate it. So do you want to explain how you go about astrology? Because a lot of people will love it and get, like me, I get an email, like I was telling you, in my inbox every day, and I play the game of how accurate is that email, and it generally is people. But I like to play it loosely as though I'm going to see what I'm going to do and see if it matches up. And it generally does, because of its influences. But you did something in the questions you asked me, which reminded me of what Pam Gregory just talked about recently on her last YouTube for the 24th of June. She's listened to about a lot of people talking about the mechanics of your life structure. You can literally see that entire plan. And sometimes you can therefore predict as well because of seeing the plan. But it explains why all these different events lived, and it's a mathematical experience. And so that seemed what you did, because you told me about my children, or asked me in order to get the correct time of my birth.
Yeah, because so the planets are a screenshot of the moment you were born. So the time has to be the most precise, the better. So that's why you told me I was born just before midnight. When I saw that, and then I asked about the signs of your parents, the sign of your daughter, your son, because then it comes up that actually the chart much more your personality. When I moved it to 11, So, and I asked you, do you think what is personal stuff about you? And you said, yes, that's me. I said, so your timing is not 11:59, it's 11.
And that actually, even that fact is the sort of setup for my life, because I chose those parents because they had a few useful things for me, genetically and historically, but I know there wasn't much love there. So it absolutely fits. It's like, yeah, just sometime before midnight. You know, that would be the deal there. That's the only information you'd get. And of course, that therefore denies you a very precise prescription. So here I am, 52 and a half. And now I find out when I was born. Because you can dial back and look and put things together. So it's another proof, actually, of the importance of astrology. Because I remember I had a chart done by my aunt, my mother's half sister, and she did two, because she wasn't sure when I was born. So I think she did at 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, something like that. And they were very different, and they were quite negative, and it influenced me for quite a while. It's not good, is it?
That's another thing that I try. When I see the moon in the chart, the moon is represent how the people, how you connect with people. So if the moon, for example, is in a Capricorn, the person is more detached to feelings and is less, it's going to be less hurt when listening certain things. But if you have a moon in Cancer, moon in Pisces, moon in, so the person feels everything and feels like he's being attacked or touched or whatever. So when I see the moon, I kind of know how to approach the client. Because it's much easier to know how to get things.
So I was always told that my moon was in Aquarius, and that helped me to pull back and have kind of the ability to see emotion happening in front of me, which is why I'm sort of teaching emotional intelligence. Because I don't get so, I mean, I feel deeply, but I can also pull out, and that's what makes me a teacher, because I can, you know, when I do my sessions for my videos, I'm going into a spiritual state, and then I'm talking about what I'm seeing and feeling. So you have to have this sort of ability, and I'm positive it's that moon in the Aquarius.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's it. So yeah, you said it. Yeah. So is my moon is in Leo, for example. So the Leo is about having fun. Well, I'm Capricorn, so I'm very, and my Saturn is in the first house, so I'm very serious. And my mom used to say, "Please, Andrea, smile, please smile." So I'm learning to smile. But if she has knew my chart, everything will be so easy, you know, because it was there.
Let's just talk about the moon briefly, because as far as I know, the moon is not natural. It is a very ancient spaceship, but it's put there for a specific purpose to do certain mechanical things with Earth. It was very useful. There's a lot of people saying that eventually it won't be there anymore, it will be removed because we won't need that reliance of that system. For me then, if I admit to myself that perfection of geometry is being made, I don't know if it's man-made, is it being made? So it's more though, it's like a shadow of other celestial influence not being able to reach you. That's its actual effect. Rather than have its own life force, because I don't think it does. It'll have an entity field, of course, like all things created. But it's almost like that shape, where the moon was at that point, that snapshot of your birth was just preventing certain other frequencies from reaching you, and that's what makes it with that effect.
It could be, because I'm learning about the moon's supposed to be man-made. Yeah. So I really don't know what to say about it, because I can say when I read a chart of a person that I don't know, the first time I say, and I know everything about the person just by knowing the moon, just by knowing the sun, all the planets. So it's a mystery. Is what I can say is whoever created that moon is affecting us, is affecting the sea going up and down, the water going up and down, our emotions up and down. Is the way it is.
It has an effect. And I mean, alive or not, you know, a being or not, maybe it was an old dead planet, that's another theory that I do think is an ancient spaceship, just from all the different things. But it is a mass, and it therefore has an effect on us. That's important, isn't it? So, as we're talking in detail, you asked me those questions once you realised that it wasn't quite right, this 1 minute before midnight thing, and then you asked me these sequence of questions about, like, did you always, what was the question? Did you always want to have a big love? Yeah, and it's like, yes. Has anyone watched my videos? Yes, and that you found that Now can you kind of talk about that? Because if you were doing work with and for a child, let's say in the early phases of life, age 3 or something, and that then would give a trajectory. So how did you find that kind of information?
Because when you told me that I knew your parents, I knew your children, so I moved the chart this way. So the Mars entered your 7th house, the 7th house of the relationships. Mars is fiery. Is I want that. It's action. So what it means, if you have Mars, that means I want, and it's in the house of relationships. I want relationship. It's something that is very you want that very fairly.
So there's just no question, is there? This is the thing.
Exactly, it's there.
So when I was, I don't know, maybe 9, 10, I was told by a very powerful spiritual man that my talent lay in homes. That's what he said. And at the time, it was rather denigrating for women to be thought of just, the woman in the home. But it landed in me because I then went to study. Am I going to study architecture? I studied landscape architecture. But that's still kind of homes, structures, places, spaces. And then, of course, I went to all the communicative filling in of that idea and this sense of home creating as like a sun from which everything radiates, permeates everything I think, feel, and talk about or write about. So can you kind of talk through the chart on that? Because I think that's really interesting. Because it's this massive trajectory that's absolutely neat.
Actually, the sun also moves to the courthouse, and the courthouse is home. And wherever you have the sun is where you shine. And it's where you can be all the time doing whatever you have the sun is your thing. So yours is at home. So for you, everything is home. So that's why also I asked, for how home is for you? Is it something that you really like being? And you said, oh yes, please. So I said, so your time, definitely that's your time, So it's yeah. So when you're talking about this, what happens to your home? It relates a lot with your chart, It's you. That's your soul. I call it your soul.
So what else can you what's that wonderful word? I can't think of it. Speculate, but I know it's not the right word. Anyway, what else can you work out from that in terms of, because you can see tendencies, you can see strengths. So if you're a parent and I'm your 3-year-old child, let's just say, and this is the reading you've just done, you can see from what you interpreted, there are certain things you can encourage more and provide for more. Would you say that's accurate? So can you kind of talk through some of that?
Yeah, for example, Chiron is the wounded healer. So usually is where we have this thing that hurt us, it's causes pain and things. So actually, if you can see that in your sun's or daughter's chart, you cannot prevent, because at the end of the day, we need to learn our lessons, but you can understand them and possibly kind of avoid him to be very smart, maybe. And depending on what you have to carry, you can approach the children in certain ways to avoid that pain or avoid that discomfort.
So where did you, I know Chiron's very active in my chart, but I cannot remember where.
It's in the 7th house.
So, and 7's big for me, and I live in the 7, my house is number 7 as well at the moment. Numbers follow me through my life too. So what does that mean then?
It means possibly you have had relationships that have hurt you a lot. But also the wounded healer. So you end up time passes, you end up being the healer because you have gone through that already. So you end up being the one who tells people how to heal that part.
No, there's this myth, right? You cannot heal your man. You cannot change your man. You cannot change anyone. Now, so this man I met, just wonderful, extraordinary, exceptional. Love, excitement, joy, thrill. And then, no, nothing. It was all shut down. And it was all shut down because ostensibly the things going on in the world. But it was also his fears to protect me and his own fears. So this extraordinary, exciting, thrilling, the relationship, you are the one. And then wipe out. And that was 6 months ago. The wipeout for me happened. And I had to rebuild. I've had a few relationships, obviously, and always hoped for something wonderful. But this is it. So the last 6 months I've been repairing, rebuilding on the deepest ever level I've gone. And the funny thing is that now I know actually I have the power to heal him because it sounds crazy. How can you heal someone else? You can if you are able to stand there as this kind of massive inspiration. And that's that chironic path, isn't it?
Yes,
you kind of move through the deepest.
Actually, because every 50 years, Karen come back to the natal position. That's why you call it crisis, and actually it's not a crisis. It's the time that you start healing. Actually, it's the time to heal. Whatever happened before, you start thinking about in a different way. I think it's kind of healing. Supposedly, that man came to heal, kind of heal his previous relationship. You see it in a different way. And I'm not sure about it. I'm a dreamer, and I hope I can heal everybody. And that's what women usually tend to do.
Well, that's the fixer, isn't it? And then you know that I tried to fix my husband. I've only been married once, and then I realised no, that's not ever going to work. So that's fixed. That means you see them as broken. So that's different from someone carrying pain, where you know that if you have admitted all of your pain and found ways to heal and process it, and therefore by standing there as a witness to that, you can the change. What I mean is it's an inspiration. You don't make someone do it, but you're just standing there with so much inspiration and love energy. So it's a kind of the independent love, but it's absolutely entangled into the other stuff. So I haven't given up on this love relationship. It still could be the most extraordinary thing. But it's just that interesting thing of this healer and the chiron. You have to go through the whole broken, complete repair, and then there's something different.
Exactly. Yeah. So yes, if the person is willing to accept that what you're offering, it's amazing. Because you can create a very beautiful relationship.
So there are those children that see things and know things about their parents, and they say them because children don't have filters. Just like, why are you looking so sad, Daddy? Or whatever it is, that's very mild, but there are children who are very outspoken about what they can see in their parents. And very often, because of that old-fashioned status, the parent's supposed to be that power, like we mentioned at the beginning, and the child is under them. The child can get knocked down for that. But instead, if it was a normal thing for every child to have their birth chart worked through and discussed with the family, the siblings as well, then it would be this welcoming of the expansive nature of this new being.
Yes, absolutely. And your idea of having the children know that they actually child the parents, that is amazing as well. Because imagine how strong the relationship will be between the family. Absolutely nothing can help that. And how can you support each other to grow? Instead of because usually we see between brothers and sisters like a very fighting and
But that's the old matrix, isn't it? Of reptilian dominating.
Exactly.
Apparently, we're in an evolution where survival of the fittest. That is a big boy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So.